Hi, my name is Ariel, and I'm a trans person that's been medically transitioning for the last 4 years. After 5 months battling with my healthcare system, I finally got my testosterone back. And while I apply the gel and get ready, I thought I could talk about how my state has been impacted by anti-trans attacks so far, and what detransitioning as a result of these attacks has been like for me. Because I live in Massachusetts, I have to fight a lot less to receive trans healthcare compared to our genderqueer siblings in conservative states. I highly recommend following translegislation.com and searching for trans news on social media because we are being bombarded by genocide. There's more news every day of trans siblings being brutally murdered, more news of detransition clinics and abuse in schools and prisons. It's important that whenever you can get involved in something actionable to help trans people, whether it's donating to mutual aid campaigns like my mutual aid stickers for Aster and for Ivy, going to protest in your local city or state to support trans people, or getting involved with organizations fighting for trans people's rights to live and thrive. There's so much to say on how trans youth in sports are being affected by bullying and legislation en masse, and how healthcare is being affected outside of legislation, like private insurance preemptively cutting off support for trans healthcare. But since I'm speaking from a disabled perspective, I wanted to focus on that. Because I am disabled, I am subject to feeling the impacts pretty quickly from federal legislation. When the big, terrible bill passed, federal funding to Planned Parenthood was affected, and they could no longer take my Medicaid insurance. This caused a 2-month and a 5-month detransition in the last year. This has since been resolved with state funding, but it was a painful year where I lost complete autonomy over my body because of the decisions being made on a federal level. The best way I can describe the brunt of the detransition is that it felt like my body was getting torn apart hormonally and emotionally, and the pain caused from my periods coming back was about 5 to 10 times worse than my already extremely painful periods from before transitioning. Being a disabled person with dynamic chronic pain, this also means that the emotional dysregulation is tied to my body's actual physical state. So the already horrific symptoms were made doubly worse with chronic pain flare-ups that laid me out for weeks to months at a time. I wanted to speak on this because if you don't know what it means for a trans person to lose healthcare, at least for me, it means that on top of the dysphoria coming back, making me have panic attacks and self-harm ideation, I also have to deal with the severe impacts to my physical and emotional health. And at the end of the day, I'm living under heavily privileged circumstances. My trans siblings, especially trans femmes of color, have been dealing with heinous bigotry and violence for the entire existence of this country, with ever-worsening effects during this administration. Please get involved with your local organizations and local politics. Every action helps. I also hope that you can spare $5 to buy a sticker to help 3 of my disabled trans siblings. Disabled trans people need a support network to survive, and I hope you'll join that network.